Hello, beautiful people. We're going to talk about multi-step inequalities today. And I'm sure you figured it out by now. We solve or find the solution set for an inequality the same way you find the answer to a multi-step equation. We're going to follow the same steps. So if I have the inequality below, -6 in the parentheses, x minus 4 is greater than 42. Okay, step one with a multi-step. Get rid of the parentheses. So again, I'm going to distribute that -6. So -6 times x is -6x. -6 times -4 is positive or plus 24 is greater than 42. All right, so now step two. I look to see if I can combine like terms. There's no like terms that I need to combine on either side, so I move on to, let's move the constant. Well, get the variables together is technically next, but there's only one side that has a variable, so we're good. Now, let's move the constant. So, same side as the variable, but not with it. I have plus 24. Well, the opposite of plus 24 is minus 24. And I have my calculator open in case there's any math that gets tricky or that I want to double check. So just for fun, it's here. I'm going to double check my math on 42 minus 24. Really, I'm having the calculator do it for me. And it's 18. Okay, so everything else comes down. -6x is greater than 18. So now I have a one-step equation. I'm dividing by the coefficient. This is multiply. The opposite is divide. The opposite is divide. All right, but I'm dividing by a negative. That goes away on that side. But because I divided by a negative, I flip the sign. And 18 divided by -6. 18 divided by -6, I have -3. So let's graph that solution set. Okay, I'm going to start over here at -3. I look at the inequality, no line, which means I open the circle. And if x is less than -3, then boom, I'm going to the left. Now with these multi-step equations, I might want to check my work in a calculator because some of them get kind of crazy. So when you're checking your work in the Desmos calculator, you're just going to type in kind of one side for this one of the inequality. And I'm going to pick a number down in my solution set for x just to see if I graphed in the right direction. So because remember that my answer has to be greater than 42, right? Because that's my original problem. So let's see. Let's choose -8, right? It's right there. It's in the solution set, I think. So let's say x equals -8. Well, if x is -8, then the answer is 72. And 72 is definitely greater than 42, which means, boom, nailed it. I'm correct. All right, awesome. Let's move on to the next one. So now I don't have any parentheses, but I do have variables on both sides. So let's think of multi-step equations. Step one, get rid of parentheses. Don't have any. Step two, on each side, combine like terms. I don't have any like terms on either side. So I move to step three. Step three is to get those variables together. And remember, I like to take the littlest one to the biggest one. So I have a -12x and a 4x. Well, -12 is definitely less than +4. So I add 12x to both sides, plus 12x. That goes away. I bring down my 5, greater than 53, and then 4 plus 12 is 16. But again, if I wanted to type that in the calculator, 4 plus 12. I did 4 plus 16. 4 plus 12 is 16, so I could double check my work, right? Okay, so now I have 5 is greater than 53 plus 16x. All right, so now I have to move the constant. So I'm going to subtract 53 from both sides. Subtract 53. Okay, so now 5 minus 53 is -48 is greater than 16x. All right, we're getting there. We are getting there, friends. All right, so if I have -43 is greater than 16x, so I'm going to divide each side by that coefficient. Now, I have a negative on the left, but I'm not dividing by a negative. So the inequality sign is going to stay the same. Remember, we only flip it if we divide or multiply by a negative. So that goes away. And then I'm going to check in my calculator, -48 divided by 16, and I get -3. So -3 is greater than x, but I like to flip it, so I'm going to write x is less than -3. Both of these answers are correct, but again, it's easier to graph if you have the variable first. All right, so let's look. X is less than -3. So I start at -3. I put an open circle because that's what you're supposed to do because there's no line. And then less than, I'm going to the left. Ooh, I'm going to say that's the same from the answer above. Now, how do I check my work if I have variables on both sides? So let's look. Here we go. Let me erase this so we can see our original problem. So what I'm going to do in my Desmos calculator to check if I'm correct is I'm going to put in both sides of that inequality. So I have -12x plus 5, and then I have 53 plus 4x. Okay, so I know that this side, the left, -12x plus 5, has to be greater than the right, 53 plus 4x, because that's what the inequality says. So let's pick a variable that's in or let's pick a number in our solution set. Let's do -5. So if x equals -5, well, look at that. When x equals -5, 65 is greater than 33. Well, that's true, which means I have graphed it correctly. So you can check your work, but you just kind of have to plug in those numbers because this was 65 greater than 33. That's true, which means we're geniuses. All right, that's how we do those multi-step inequalities. Let me know if you have questions. Love ya. Bye.